Well, hello, my name is Doug Prentice. I'm a safety specialist with the City of Gainesville Risk Management Office. I've been with the city for almost 8 years now, and I'm going to cover some of the safety sections for the new hire orientation. So there's a couple things I want to talk about today. One is accident prevention, some of the things we do to prevent accidents from occurring in the workplace. Talk about vehicle accidents, what to do if you're involved in any kind of motor vehicle accident, and then also going to cover what you're supposed to do if you are injured on the job. Hopefully, you have a nice long career with the city, and you don't have to worry about any of this accidents happening or workplace injuries. But in the event something happens, I want to make sure you're properly prepared, you know what to do, and know what you're entitled to. I'm also going to cover some of your entitlements under workers' compensation, so you know what you're entitled to, the programs that we have in place for you when it comes to worker comp and injury prevention, injury care. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen real fast. So um, before we get going, there's some information on the screen for the workers' compensation and loss control manager. His name is David Jarvis. And it'd be a good idea for you to jot his information down. It has on the side of the screen has his cell phone, work, and home numbers. It's all good information to have. Um, and the reason being, sometimes we work odd shifts, we work nights or weekends, times when, or maybe a normal supervisor isn't available. If you ever have any kind of workplace injury, motor vehicle accident, and you're just not sure who to call or what to do, you can't get in touch with a supervisor, you can call David Jarvis anytime, day or night. He is there for you. If he's not available, his phone will be forwarded to either me or Carlos Moore. You can see their names on the screen. We're both safety specialists with the city. While we're assigned to the general government side of the city, we are here for every single employee within the city. So if you have any kind of workplace injury, you can reach out to David Jarvis, myself, Doug Prentice, or Carlos Moore anytime, and we will be happy to assist you, getting you to the right treatment, helping you document the incident if need be, and what to do, how to proceed if you're injured on the job. So hopefully you got that information down. I'm gonna go ahead and close that out. So um, before we get into documented accidents, let's talk about accident prevention. So our number one goal is to eliminate the hazards that are out in the workplace. We want to prevent accidents from ever occurring in the workplace, and we do that by trying to identify the hazards and eliminate them or control them in some way. We try to provide training so employees are aware of the hazards, have the right equipment, have the right resources in order to stay safe. So we do a lot of work to provide the training, provide the resources, provide the personal protective equipment for everybody out there. Um, One of the things I will ask when it comes to this and preventing accidents is, I know everyone is new to the city. You're new to the city and you want to contribute and help out. One of the things I would ask is that if someone asks you to perform a task and you have not been trained on that task, that you let them know. Don't let your eagerness to contribute to the organization or help your coworkers out put you in a position where you're operating a piece of equipment, performing a task, using a chemical or product that you're not familiar with or haven't been trained on. Just don't want you to put yourself in a position where you get injured because you have not received the proper training. Now, the city does a really good job of providing that training before you get put out in the field or asked to operate a piece of equipment. Um, but in the off chance somehow you have not received the proper training up front, it is your responsibility to let a supervisor know, let a coworker know that you have not received the right training. And then once you get the training, then you can proceed on and start contributing and helping out however you're able to. Some of the other things we do for accident prevention is we do follow safety standards. So OSHA's Occupational Safety and Health Administration. It's a federal organization that comes up with safety standards and practices. So we follow all of the OSHA rules that are out there, as well as a lot of other organizations that provide safety standards. So if you're coming from a previous employer and you perform the same kind of tasks here within the city, you should see that the safety standards are very similar to what you're accustomed to. Now, you may see extra steps or extra processes here at the city. We can always add extra steps to provide a safe work environment, so we can add some extra safety procedures, but we can't take away from those minimum guidelines that OSHA establishes. So we try really hard to meet or exceed those standards whenever possible for accident prevention. Okay, so the next thing I would like to talk about is vehicle accidents. So if you look at accidents and the severity resulting from accidents, probably automotive or vehicle accidents is probably the highest, or has the highest potential for a bad injury or a bad accident, more severe accident. So while everyone may not be driving a vehicle as a permanent part of your employment, every employee has the ability to check out a pool car and drive from one building to another for go to a meeting or just go out in the field and do it. You know, who knows what you may need to be out driving for. But when you're driving a city vehicle, I'm going to ask you to be very courteous, professional, and operate defensively. You got to remember, not only is driving a vehicle probably one of the most hazardous things you can do while working at the city, you're also, when you're driving that vehicle, a representative of the city. So you are driving a vehicle that's marked, it's going to say, you know, GRU, or it's going to say City of Gainesville, it's going to say GPD, who knows what it's going to say, but it'll have some sort of indicator showing that you're city employees. So keep in mind, you're under the microscope. Our neighbors are paying attention to what you're doing. So if you are acting aggressively, if you're speeding, if you're hitting the brakes, if you're tailgating, any kind of aggressive behavior is noticed out in our community. So I would want you to think about that, be professional, be courteous when you're driving a city vehicle. The other thing about city vehicles is if you're involved in any kind of motor vehicle accident, regardless if you are at fault or not at fault, every single motor vehicle accident needs to be documented. So the city has an accident analysis form, and I'm going to talk about it in a little bit more detail for workplace injury. But if you're involved in a motor vehicle accident, if you're driving a city vehicle and that vehicle contacts another piece of property, you have to document it. So you need to let a supervisor know. You need to call law enforcement, and you cannot leave the scene until law enforcement has shown up and actually documented the accident. So in every single glove box, just so you're aware, if you're not sure what phone number to call, what to do, or who to call, there's going to be a white laminate card in every single glove box, and this is the city's self-insurance card. So we're actually self-insured, so you're not going to find a Geico or Progressive insurance card in the glove box, but you will find that white laminate card, and it has the phone numbers for the non-emergency number for law enforcement, and it gives you the information for a fleet garage. So even if you just have a breakdown, or the battery is dead, or you get a flat tire, the contact information for fleet garage is also on that same card. So we have roadside assistance. They'll come out and try to help you. But staying with that, if you are involved in a motor vehicle accident, you know you got to call supervisor, you know you got to call law enforcement. If it's at the end of the day, say it's 4:45 and you get off at 5 o'clock, you get into a minor fender bender. You get out of the vehicle, look at the bumper of the city vehicle you're driving, and there's no damage, no scrape, no smudge, nothing. You look at the neighbor's vehicle and there's no damage there. They don't want to be around. They say, don't worry about it. My vehicle's fine. I don't want to mess with my insurance. Let's just go our separate ways. I would ask you to please resist the temptation to do that. We've had enough people show back up the next day, citizens in the community, that after that minor accident where there's no damage, no issues whatsoever to the vehicles, they show back up the next day and they're in a neck brace, leg brace, walker. You can't even imagine what some people do when they think they have a potential to work one over on the city or a large company because they were involved in a motor vehicle accident. Even though there was no injury or damage, they'll claim otherwise the next day. So what I'm asking you to do is document it. Get out your phone, take a picture, fill out the accident report, and that is to protect you. because that way we're not doing one person's word against the other. We'll have documentation and you'll be protected. Another thing, if you are involved in a motor vehicle accident and a citizen, whoever you run into, says they don't want to be there and they get in their vehicle and leave, you let them leave. We don't want anybody putting their hands on anybody. We don't want to escalate a situation, make a minor inconvenience into a major event. So you can ask them to stay, but if they're going to leave, we're not going to put our hands on anybody and force them to stay there. You can take out your phone, get document it if you can, try to remember the plate number, get the information, let them go, and then you get to wait around for law enforcement and document everything. Okay. All right, so that should be good for vehicle accidents. The next thing I want to talk about is actually workplace injuries. So again, I would love for you to have a nice long career with the city, not have any kind of workplace injuries, and you never have to fill out this accident report. However, things happen that are outside of our control sometimes. You could be managing other employees below you that have workplace injuries, so this is all good information to know. So any workplace injury, no matter how minor, I'm going to ask you to fill out a city accident report. So it's the same accident report you fill out for a motor vehicle accident, same form, you'd fill it out. So if you're working out in the field and there's an obstruction on the ground that causes a tripping hazard and you trip and fall and you kind of twist your ankle or knee or whatever it is, even if you think you can walk it off and it's not so bad, I'm going to ask you to fill out an accident report, any kind of injury like that. And the reason why I want you to fill out an accident report is sometimes minor injuries over time can get a little bit worse to the point where you need some medical attention. So imagine you have a minor injury that you think is nothing and you're just going to put some ice on it and go your own way on a Thursday or Friday. But now by Saturday or Sunday, that minor injury has deteriorated to the point where you need to go to the emergency room and you need to get treatment. If we can't easily place that back to a workplace event that happened at work, it's hard for us to be able to justify paying that emergency room bill. And if you get hurt at work, if the workplace is what injured you, then the workplace should be paying for that injury, which is kind of the short and sweet of it. So any workplace injury, no matter how minor, I'm going to ask you to fill out an accident report. All right. So depending on the injury, so let's talk about that accident report. Depending on the injury, there's a couple ways of accomplishing the task of filling out that accident report. Minor stuff that you you're able to provide first aid for yourself. You don't need to go to the emergency room or anything like that. You just want to document it, treat it yourself and document it. You can go to the risk management intranet page, and there's a tab that says accident reporting. You can open up a Word document, fill out the accident report, and then just send it right to risk management. You can send it to employee health services. You can just scan it, send it to us, and you're set. You'll also want to let a supervisor know if you have any kind of workplace injuries, just so they're aware of what's going on. Another way of doing this is we do have occupational nurses on staff in employee health services. So if you have any kind of minor injury, you can come in anytime. And actually, this could be a personal injury or workplace injury. So if you have any sort of injury, you can come in and see the nurses in employee health services. They'll evaluate you, treat you. If it's something minor, they'll treat you and then they can send you back to work. If they evaluate the injury and determine that it needs another level of care, because our occupational nurses can only treat so much, they're kind of limited on the medical services they can provide. If it needs the next level of care, employee health services will provide you with a referral. They'll give you the paperwork to take to an urgent care center. They'll let you know which urgent care center to go to. And then if they send you with the right document, if they have the accident report, which they can help you fill out there, they have blank ones, or you can bring one in if you filled it out beforehand, see the nurse, you fill out the accident report, they'll send you off with a referral and tell you where to go and get your treatment. Now, if it is after hours, if it's weekend when employee health services is not open, that's where you kind of have to evaluate for yourself how bad that injury is, how severe it is. Maybe you have a badly sprained ankle. A sprained ankle is no fun. It's not something you want to ignore, but you're not sure if it requires a trip to the emergency room. That's when you can go back to that number that I gave you for David Jarvis. You can give him a call anytime, day or night, depending on, it really doesn't matter. Tell him what the injury is, and if it's something that you both agree you need to go to the urgent care center, then he'll refer you to the urgent care center and authorize your medical treatment so you don't have any copays or out of pockets or anything like that. If it's more severe, he may tell you just go to the emergency room, fill out the accident report when you get back to work on Monday, and we'll take care of all the paperwork the next day. Now, if an injury, regardless on if it's after hours or during work hours, if it's severe, if you have a compound fracture, if it's life, limb, eyesight, anything really severe like that, call 911 or go directly to the emergency room. If you have a crazy laceration and you're trying to control the bleeding and you're having to put pressure on, you're bleeding out, don't worry about an accident report. You can have a coworker or supervisor fill out that report on your behalf. Our number one priority is you getting treatment and taking care of that injury. That's the number one priority. Once you get the injury taken care of, then we can deal with the paperwork. You can have, like I said, a supervisor or coworker can help get the accident report started and then sent to risk management, sent me and risk management, and then we can get you started. Okay. So you have to fill out an accident report, no matter how minor the injury. You have to get that accident report to risk management or employee health services by the end of your shift or the next day, the next business day. Most accidents, if they're minor, need to be either treated first aid or come see the nurses. If they're not available, or if it's a major injury, then you go to urgent care center or the emergency room. Okay, just kind of want to talk about that. All right, so the last thing I want to talk about is workers' compensation. So if you're hurt on the job, how is all this stuff getting paid for? And it's all going to fall under workers' compensation. So just so you're aware, if the work site has a hazard, that hazard impacts you and creates an injury, then the city's obligated to take care of you, and that would fall under workers' compensation. So when I say the nurses would refer you to urgent care center, that would be covered under workers' compensation. If once you go to a doctor and you get treated, if a doctor says you need physical therapy, you need certain things, crutches or inversion tables or massage therapy or whatever a doctor says is medically necessary for you to get better, as long as they fill it out on the proper forms, the worker comp is there to take care of that. We'll get you anything that a physician says you need in order to recover from your accidents. The only caveat is it has to be the physician, the authorized treating physician for your injury. So if the nurse refers you to the urgent care center, whatever the doctor at the urgent care center says you need, any medications, whatever it is, they're going to put it on a form and send it back to us. We'll have it. It'll all be covered. What would not be covered is if you have a minor injury at work and you decide to go see your personal physician, or usually just a personal physician. So if you try to go see a chiropractor, personal physician, massage therapist, and you don't fill out an accident report or anything, we're not going to be able to cover any of that under workers' compensation. Okay, so you have to go through the right resources, which means the right channels, which means filling out the accident report, going and seeing a city nurse, and getting the referral for treatment. Unless, of course, it's major injury and you go right to the emergency room. The other thing that I'm going to ask you is every single time you go to the doctor, there are very specific forms that have to be filled out for workers' compensation in order for us to pay those bills and get you your whatever is necessary. You have to bring those forms back to employee health services after every single doctor's appointment. So if you're injured or if you're supervising anybody and they become injured on the job and they go to the doctor, after every single doctor's visit, they have to bring the paperwork back to employee health services, and then employee health services will create a return to work slip that hides all the personal medical information, and it will just have in order to return to work, here are the modifications, if there are any. So if the doctor doesn't want you using one of your limbs or not bending or whatever the limitation is to prevent you from aggravating your injury, it'll be on that form, and it would be sent to your work center to make sure we're not going to put you in a position where your injury is re-aggravated or made worse. So that's really all I got. Hopefully you have a nice long career with the city and you don't have any kind of issues when it comes to workplace injury. But if something does happen, I really want to do the best we can to take care of you. So always come to EHS, talk to the nurses. You can come to risk management, talk to me, one of the safety specialists, and we're here to help you. So that's all I got. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions whatsoever, you can call risk management at any time. It's 334-5045. Let them know what your concerns are. Whoever answers the phone will get you to the right person. So thank you very much.